So good morning, everyone. This is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. My name is Stacy Niedenthal. I'm an evidential medium, spiritual healer, and child of God. And I have the ability to channel spirit using love and light for my higher good and the higher good of those that God puts in my path. I am not the medium that says, I see death all around you and you're going to be dead in 10 days. My gift, my prayer, is that God, spirit, angels bring in the most loving message to help your spirit heal. So this is not an angel card reading. This is not a mediumship reading. This is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. I come on every Tuesday, you guessed it, at 10:30. And we talk about different things that, are kind of near and dear to our heart. We talk about things that other people may not want to talk about, whether it be grief or death and dying, meditation, wholeness, coming back home, all these different things that we talk about so that you know that you're not alone in your spiritual journey, in your grief journey, in whatever path that you're on, you're not alone. And I just come on and talk about things that kind of strike a chord with me in hopes that it touches the right person that needed to hear the message at this particular moment. So we'll just wait for a few more seconds here and then we'll get started. I've already set my intentions. I'm actually here in Bel Air, Maryland, doing readings. There is a group reading tonight. I think there might be 1 or 2 seats that are still available. So if you're in Bel Air and interested in joining us, just get in touch with me before like 4 o'clock and we'll see if we can get you in. So when I come to Bel Air, we do privates and we do groups. We had a private group last night at someone's home, which was very interesting. It was a very, humbling, heartwarming evening, I guess is the best way to say it. So let's get started. So I want to read some lyrics to you first. Hopefully I can read them and I don't sing them. Isn't that funny? Hold on one second. Let me just adjust one thing here. Click to expand. There we go. There we go. Now I can probably see the, yes, now I can see the comments. So this is a song by Rascal Flatts. Life is like a road you travel on when there's one day here and the next day gone. Sometimes you bend, sometimes you stand, sometimes you turn your back to the wind. There's a world outside every darkened door where blues won't haunt you anymore, where the brave are free and the lovers soar. Come ride with me to a distant shore. There's no load I can't hold, a road so rough, this I know. I'll be there when the lights come on, telling them I'm a survivor. Life is a highway, I want to ride it all night long. Well, I wasn't sure if I could do it without like being sing-songy with that. So the reason that came to mind is last week I had an event in Havre de Grace, Maryland for the Brandon Tolson Foundation. Thank you to everyone who came out and helped support the Brandon Tolson Foundation. It was a wonderful gallery reading in Havre de Grace. And before we drove there, it's about 2 hours from my house. I'm in Pennsylvania. And I looked at the GPS early in the morning to see how long it was going to take me to get there. And it said about, 2 hours. And my husband and I wanted to go early so that we could have dinner in this restaurant that was behind the theater that we were going to be performing at. So we decided to leave at a certain time so that we would get there about an hour or so before and we could get all set up and be good to go. And it's funny that before we left, I put it in the GPS again, and it was like 2.5 hours. So because of the time difference, a half hour was added onto it. And, I looked at, and I didn't look before, but I looked at the map to see where the GPS was taking us. And there was a beltway and like 2 major highways that I'm sorry are beltways as well. I live in an area where there's maybe 2 or 4 lanes, 2 or 3 lanes, not 4 or 6 lanes going. So it was kind of crazy to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to hit, 495 and 695 and 795 and 95. And I was like, good grief. And I knew in my head that if we drove to like Denise's house the back way, it was only additional 20 minutes. And I thought to myself, I should just go the back way to Denise's and then GPS where I need to go to get to the theater. But for some reason, I chose not to listen to my intuition. And we went all the major highways. And let me tell you, the traffic was crazy. We were stopping and starting and stopping and starting. We were stopped for like 10 or 15 minutes at a time. And it was aggravating. It was aggravating. We did get there, but it took almost 3 hours to get there. Needless to say, we had to grab food to go to the theater, eat backstage, and then, go on. But I thought to myself as we were driving, this road, this journey, these directions are a lot like life. And it struck me kind of funny that when I looked at the GPS and I thought we could go the back way and I knew that that would be a better way to go, I chose not to do that. We chose to go in the direction of what the GPS said. Because in my head, I'm thinking, well, the GPS reroutes you for accidents or detours or things like that. It knows better than what I do. And because I trusted something else other than my own gut instinct, it ended up taking a lot longer than what I thought it would. We knew better than what the GPS did, but still we chose to listen to that. And like I said, traffic would stop for no apparent reason. Have you ever had that? You're going along, traffic's running smoothly, even if you're on the highway, and all of a sudden it's a dead stop. You see brake lights, or on your GPS you see these yellow lines, and then you see a red line, and then it says 7-minute delay or 15-minute delay, and it's out of nowhere. Like, how can you be going 55, 65 miles an hour and then come to a complete stop, unless of course there's an accident or something like that? But when we would get started again, it wasn't just a gradual start. We would instantly go from standing still to 65 miles an hour. And we were looking around, and there was no reason that we should have stopped. And I understand sometimes there's bottlenecks with oncoming ramps and things like this. But it just got me to thinking about how this is so much like life. We drive, and the more we drive certain roads, we know where the rough roads are. We know where the potholes are, and we know how to avoid them. We're confident knowing that just a few tar chips and little stones can fix that pothole if it's brought to the attention of the right company to fix it. But there's potholes, there's debris that comes onto the road that stops you. There's accidents, but when you're stopped for no apparent reason at all, it just makes me think, what is so important that all of a sudden I was going 65 miles an hour and I'm not? And there's distractions, there's all different types of things that stop us, as in life. And I like to think to myself that God has stopped me for this amount of moment, this moment in time, to take a moment to reflect on whatever is causing this stop, to pray for this stop, to hope that if it is an accident, that no one in the accident has gotten hurt. But it gives me that breather, that stop, that you need to slow down right now. You need to get quiet and stop. To me, that's what a traffic jam is. We have emotional traffic jams. There's certain things that, surprise us in our navigation. Construction or a detour that you didn't know about. But it always slows us down. And you have two options when you're in this slowdown. You can get mad and scream and holler and get pissed off and get stressed out and look at your watch 100 times and, oh my gosh, did I leave in time? Am I going to get there in time? Or you can just say, you know what? There's nothing I can do about it. There's nowhere I can go. I'm literally in one lane and there's 2 lanes stopped on this side and there's 2 lanes stopped on this side. Where am I going to go? And you always have this one person that when it does start going, they're swerving in and out. And then the next thing you know, you're right beside them again. So they didn't go anywhere. They thought they could outsmart and navigate this moment in time that they were given, this stop that they were given to either reflect on what's going on or just take a moment to look around. When you're on the highway, when you're driving, you're just looking straight ahead at the car in front of you. You're looking in the rear view mirror at the cars behind you, the side view mirrors of the cars that are beside you. But do you ever, when you're driving, when I'm a passenger, I generally look around, and my husband's good at that as well. But it never really gives you time to look around and go, oh, I never knew that was there. I never knew that was there. Oh, look at that dog that's in that car. God bless him. It gives you a moment in time to pause and see the beauty that's around you. Or you can choose to pound your steering wheel, get mad, get stressed, fiddle with the radio, think about, what did a paper, my husband always goes, a paper must have flown through. So, we had to stop abruptly for that. But it's taking the time to maybe say a prayer for the person in your windshield, the two people in your side view mirrors, the people in your rear view mirror, the people ahead of you and behind you. You never know what situation they're in right now or where they're going or what they're doing. So it's taking that time to just put some protection around them and just say a prayer of healing to those in this jam up that need healing. Maybe you're the one in the jam up that needs healing. Thinking about being grateful of what you have been stopped and you're allowing yourself to avoid. I tell a lot of my clients sometimes, when you keep going and keep going and keep going, the body eventually will tell you when it's time to slow down. And it does that in miraculous ways. You get dehydrated, you get a headache, you get sick, plans get canceled, but something that just makes you sit down and stop for a minute. So, had I listened to my internal GPS, I probably wouldn't have gotten in the traffic jam that I was in. My husband was driving, so that we were in. But I also wouldn't have had that moment to reflect on, this is a lot like life. We get thrown things that we don't understand. There's potholes that suddenly appear in our life that just bring us crashing down. We have sudden stops that we can't avoid, and there's nowhere to go. And we have two choices. We can slow down and observe what's around us and figure out a solution, or we can scream and yell and get stressed. It's that standstill that your guides say, Stacy, it's time for you to take a breath. It's time for you to observe what's around you. It's time for you to be grateful that whatever is happening in front of you, you weren't involved in. God and my guides and my loved ones on the other side prevented me from that. So I need to be grateful. And I'm sitting in this standstill, and I'm grateful for my husband who's beside me. And I am grateful for the vehicle that I'm in, that I know that it's reliable. And I'm grateful that we decided to leave early so that we could have dinner. Dinner plans have changed a little bit. But I felt myself having gratitude and being thankful and praying for others that are around me. And even though it happened on 3 different roads where we were in a standstill, absolutely stopped. No car accidents when we started moving. I don't know, maybe they got them cleared. No on-ramps where it would have stopped. Something happened that I am not aware of, that I did not need to be made aware of. But what I was aware of was, hey, take this moment and pray. Take this moment and be grateful. Take this moment and think about what you're going to write about on Tuesday Talks at 10:30. So it also made me think to myself how often my passion, my thought process, my path that I feel like I'm on, like it feels right. It feels like it's on point. And then I have a discussion with someone and they say, oh, you know what you should do? And it doesn't feel right in my energy, but sometimes I listen to it anyway and I try it. And, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But instead of listening to my internal GPS, I listen to the GPSs around me. And I always have to think to myself, even though I listened to advice from someone who maybe hasn't given me good advice in the past or didn't understand completely what I was doing, it still taught me a lesson. It still put me in front of a situation or a person that I wouldn't normally have been placed in front of. So that even though I was misdirected, there's still lessons. There's still things that I learned along the way. I still took that moment that I was stopped, that pothole, so to speak, to reflect. To know that, you know what, I'm not going to go on that road again with that pothole. So, okay, so I lost where I was at here. So this standstill, these potholes, instead of thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I can't believe this and I'm going to be late and I'm going to be this, take a moment and think, why was the obstacle put in front of me? Why did this stop me? Why did it change my original path? I didn't listen to my internal GPS. Or, you know what? I was meant to do something else at this particular time. I feel like sometimes I take better care of my truck than I do of my body. And my body is my vehicle, right? This is how I move around. This is how I get to the places that I'm going with, my feet, my brain, my eyes. This is what I use to navigate where I'm going. This is my vehicle. But if my truck needs gas or is on low fuel, I put gas in it. If my fuel is low, I think to myself, oh, I can keep on going, and I go until I'm exhausted. My emotional fuel tank may be running empty, but I still carry the weight of the world in that. So I have to come to the point where I say to myself, in my emotional fuel tank, what of this that I'm carrying is avoidable? What do I have control of? What can I make better? What's my internal GPS telling me to do? Am I carrying too much baggage with me that I just need to unload? Are all my car doors locked and I'm not inviting anyone in? So I'm traveling down this path by myself? There's all these things that I think about in different situations. So when you're thinking about it, when you think about when something comes into your life that jams you up, do you yell and do you scream? Or do you patiently wait it out? And I posted a video of someone saying the other day, just a little bit further. Just a little bit further. Don't give up. Just a little bit further. Just a little bit further. And that's exactly what this traffic jam was. And a couple weeks ago, my husband and I went to Woodstock. This is not in my notes, so bear with me. But we went to Woodstock, and when we were driving to Bethel, we got onto the road where, it was like 2 miles till Bethel. And I just, I thought to myself, this road was jam-packed with cars of people wanting to get to this music festival, to Woodstock. And some people just abandoned their cars because nothing was going to stop them to get there. Can you imagine oh my gosh, can you imagine the traffic? We actually ran into 2 gentlemen at the museum in Woodstock that were on their way there, and they were in stopped traffic, and someone had said to them further back that they had heard, I don't know whether it was on the radio, because of course there weren't cell phones then, that they had heard that people just abandoned their cars. So if you wanted to get there, you needed to walk. And they decided to somehow maneuver and turn around. They sold their 2 tickets to someone else, and then they went to another music festival that they had contemplated in going. So when they hit the traffic jam, they did a U-turn. They made other plans. They went to the anniversary of Woodstock later. Granted, wasn't the same, but for some reason, they weren't supposed to be there. For some reason, they ran into someone who was in line in their car that needed tickets, and they were able to sell it and still make another concert. So, life is this highway. You know how it is when you're driving on a freshly paved road? It's just this unbelievable, smooth feeling. The road, the way the car handles, there's nothing hitting your car, no paint chips that are splattering up. There's no traffic. When we were in, where were we at? Oh, we were in Tombstone. And you could see like a mile ahead of you and a mile behind you. And Jeff and I were the only 2 on the road. And it was so freeing and so liberating to be on this beautiful road with beautiful scenery. No one ahead of us, that was going to slow us down. No one behind us that was rushing us anyway. It was 1 lane of traffic going one way and 1 lane of traffic going the other way. So there was no rush. There was no stress. The road was just wide open for us. And we had really deep conversations. When we travel, we talk about things that, did you ever think about like this? Do you ever think about when you're traveling down a road and you get stopped in a traffic jam that maybe that's God saying to you, stop, slow down, what are you doing? We have these conversations. And I don't know, it just hit me so hard when we were traveling. Jeff's not real wild about beltways and freeways and things like that because, we get a little bit older. Maybe our reaction time isn't as good as what it used to be, or we don't see as well as what we used to be. And he was concerned about getting me to where I needed to be at the right time. And everything worked out. We showed up on time. We were good to go. The gallery went well. We just needed to de-stress. So in a traffic jam, there's nowhere to go once you're in it. How you handle it is your choice. You can be stressed or stress-free. It's an interesting way to think about it, right? So if your GPS has you going somewhere that you don't feel like you should go, then don't. Don't. Change your direction. Make a U-turn like those 2 fellas did on the road to Bethel there. If you get stopped out of nowhere, make a decision. How are you going to handle it? Is it good for my body to get... And I know it's a difficult thing because I think to myself, well, I get stressed. There's nowhere I can go. There's nothing that I can do here. But the stress is looking at the clock, knowing what time you're supposed to arrive, people trying to weave in and out of you. I love when you're in this standstill, right? And we're usually in the slow lane or in the second lane. But I love when you're totally stopped still and the person beside you decides that he's going to do this so that if this lane starts to go faster, he can cut us off and get in front of us. Or if this lane decides to move that he's originally in, he can just swerve back in. Like, oh my gosh, how much ego do you have? You are a car accident waiting to happen. This is a person who does not have good conflict resolution within them. They can't make a decision and stick with it. And even if the lane that I'm in starts to move and they move in front of us, guess what? This lane's going to start to move and you're just going to be jockeying for the same position. So do you want to jockey for the same position all your life? Or do you want to pray for others, think about others, have a moment of gratitude, allow yourself to rid yourself of stress, right? One moment at a time. You're not going to get rid of stress all at once. It takes time. It takes practice. You didn't learn to drive in a day. It took time. It took practice. You had to learn how to, which turn signal would maneuver you in the right place. You needed to learn to hit your turn signal, look in your rearview mirror, look over at the side, and gently maneuver over into another lane. Life is the exact same way. It's all how you maneuver, how you're signaling either to yourself or to others. What do I need to do right now? Do I need to put my car in reverse? Back up. Parallel parking, right? Parallel parking was one of the most difficult things that I ever had to learn until I had an instructor say, pull up here, look at your, where the car is in your side view mirror, back up till you see this, pull up till you see this, and it was the easiest thing in the world then. Maybe we need to learn to parallel park our lives a little bit better. Do you feel like you're in a traffic jam? Do you feel like your life is all jammed up? Are you constantly taking the same path and having the same result? Take another path. Take another road. Veer off. Take a detour. And if you're caught in that stress, take a moment to find out what you're grateful for. Say those things. I like to say them out loud. When I'm in the car with my husband, sometimes I'll do that and he'll be like, what the hell are you doing? But I think to myself, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful that I got this event. I'm grateful that we left with enough time. I'm grateful that Jeff came with me and drove me so that I didn't have to have the stress and then get there and try to de-stress. I'm grateful that my vehicle is reliable. I'm grateful that the cars on either side of us, are in a standstill too, and nobody's trying to jockey for position. And then I start to think about the cars and the people on either side. I send them blessings. I hope they're having a good day. I pray that if they're stressed right now or they're late for an appointment, that they're able to figure it out. That if they're going to work or from work, that they are not penalized at work because of this traffic jam. I pray that if there is an accident up ahead of us, that whoever is in the accident is uninjured, that by the grace of God, they walk away from it. And if there is a fatality, then I pray for the families that are going to be affected with that. So looking at traffic jams in different ways when you get jammed up and comparing it to life. Somebody speeds right by you, totally ignores you. That could be a friend. Like you're like, hi. Someone cuts you off. That could be someone who, you're having a conversation and, automatically just talk over you. So I just want you to think about your journey, your freeway. Is it that smooth road where you can see a mile ahead and a mile behind, and you can have deep conversations and deep thoughts, and you can look at the beauty around you? Even if you're jammed up and in a traffic jam, find the beauty that's around you. Because, life is a highway. I want to ride it all night long. Don't you want to have the best possible life, path, events, memories as possible? De-stress. You know what stress does? It gives you a headache. It gives you heart disease, nervous, depression, anxiety. Take a breath, de-stress, and allow yourself to see the beauty in the things that you can be grateful for. So, as Rascal Flatts said, life is like a road that you travel on. Here I thought I was the first one that thought about this. And then when I was writing this last night, this song came to my head. When there's one day here and the next day gone, sometimes you bend, sometimes you stand, sometimes you turn your back to the wind. There's a world outside every darkened door, where blues won't haunt you anymore, where the brave are free and the lovers soar. Come ride with me in the distant shore. There's no load I can't hold, a road so rough, this I know. I'll be there when the lights come on. Just tell them I'm a survivor. This is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. I'm evidential medium Stacy Niedenthal. I pray that you are living the life you love and you're loving the life you live. If not, you are the only one that can change it. Where's your road going? All right, guys, I will talk to you next Tuesday at 10:30. Have a great and wonderful day. I love you so much. Peace out. We'll talk again. Bye-bye.